Hey guys, Corey here. Welcome to Blue Talks, and I hope you enjoy this video.
Hello, friends, and thank you very much for having me here today. My session is a little more participatory than some of the others, so please don't be shy. So welcome to the Sanity Thief, managing the syndrome from within the system. This is the story of how I became the Sanity Thief Whisperer. It all starts back in 2019. By all accounts, I look really happy here. I'm at the height of my profession, so this is about 25 years into my career. I've got it made. I own property, I have money, I have respect, or so I thought. But the reality is in 2019, my life came crumbling down. I was spiritually, emotionally, and physically broken. I was spit out by an industry that had no regard, and they left me for dead. But not being financially independent, I had to figure out a few things, like how to get money. So how do I earn a living doing something that I no longer can do? So I go back to school. I become a psychotherapist because it's a trade. I can work from home. I don't have to work with others. I don't have to travel because I'm really disabled. I'm in a wheelchair at this point. But in my very first class, when I'm learning about, and one of the gentlemen spoke about it earlier, my very first class, I'm learning about biopsychosocial theory and how this is the framework as a psychotherapist that I am to use to help me know my clients. And I'm thinking, oh my God, what am I doing? I am a fraud. I've gone from wealth management, teaching financial advisors not to steal, to becoming a psychotherapist. I'm not accredited or what? No. And this is a feeling I feel over and over again. You see, over those 25 years, I used to stand in front of hundreds of people, main stage speaking, telling them how to run their professional lives. But the reality is, I have never sold a financial product or service in my entire life. I feel like a fraud. So now I'm in school and I'm feeling like a fraud again. I go through and I discover I don't actually want to be a full-time psychotherapist. It's a hard job. So then I think, I've got this biopsychosocial thing in my back pocket, and I go, it reminds me of something. And therapists often act like financial advisors, and financial advisors often act like therapists. So I go back to school again. So I finish my master's, become a psychotherapist. I go back to do my doctorate on how people know each other. So knowing others through knowing self. But I haven't had a traditional academic career. So I struggle. I struggle terribly because people are getting mad at me because I'm not talking, sounding, and looking like they want me to. So I'm having these feelings again. I can't win when I'm teaching financial advisors. I can't win when I'm treating my clients. And clearly I'm not winning at my doctoral work. Because there's another part to the whole story. When I said I was broken, this is what my body looks like. And most of this work was done 2019 onwards. And so not only am I dealing with my ruins and my body and trying to recover, but I'm also trying to survive. I'm trying to earn a living. I'm trying to have purpose when everything has been taken from me. And it's within this that I discover the sanity thief? Before we go on, I got married 10 years ago, something I never thought would happen. And this is my beloved husband and I in Hawaii, in Oahu, earlier this year when I was presenting at an education conference. And I like to introduce him as the house cat because legitimately that is his name. He comes when he's called. But my husband has been an incredible influence on my life. And we're going to hear some of his stories later on. So when I talk about the house cat, this is who I mean, not my actual pet. So, little participation. Who has a liar in their head that says, who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? What does your liar tell you? Okay. That you're weird. What else does other people's liar tell them? Yeah. That I'm not good enough. That I'm not good enough. I'm weird. I'm not smart enough. I'm not accredited. What are some of the other lies that we tell ourselves? Don't be shy. Yeah. You can't do it. So every single person in this room has been nodding because they do have a liar. And it's this liar that we need to become a little more familiar with so that we know how to deal with it. So we talk about imposter syndrome. So imposter syndrome, very quickly, is a psychological pattern where individuals doubt their accomplishment, fear being exposed as frauds, despite their achievements, attributed to success to luck rather than ability. So this all sounds good, and I think we can all appreciate and nod and go, yep, that tracks. But have you ever thought about where imposter syndrome comes from? It's a relatively new thing. It was discovered in the 70s by an American doctor from Georgia, Dr. Rose Clance, and she is a psychiatrist, and she discovered and coined this syndrome during her psychiatry residency in a hospital in 1978. What was going on in the world in 1978? Especially when it comes to women. Well, we didn't have a lot of rights. So the women's movement was chugging along. 1978, women are allowed to do banking for the first time. The house cat loves to tell me the story of being a 14-year-old boy in St. John, New Brunswick, and he was raised by his grandparents who were products of the Great Depression. And his grandfather died before he was 14, and they had to go to the bank to renew a mortgage. But the bank wouldn't let his grandmother sign the loan. So my husband became a mortgage holder at 14. Okay? We're not talking that long ago. And so this whole imposter syndrome was created in a time when we didn't have equity. I argue today that our equity is a bit shaky, but we'll talk about that. So we have this concept that everybody says, oh, you just have imposter. Yeah, anybody remember where I left off? Thank you. So we got this syndrome called imposter syndrome, and everybody went, yeah, that's it. That's got to be it. But what the research tells us is 80% of the world's population suffers from imposter syndrome. Is it me? So what we know is that we were given this syndrome, but we have to look at it within the context in which that it was discovered. The 70s weren't a great time for women, much less anybody else who wasn't a white man. So this is our LGBTQ, our persons of color, any marginalized population. We didn't have social media. And we didn't use words and phrases like, so whose narrative is it? We didn't talk like that. But time has passed. I'd like to introduce you to the sanity thief. So we know that imposter syndrome can present as depression, anxiety, social phobias or phobic behaviors, or loss of identity. You know what else looks like that and presents like that? Systemic barriers. Gaslighting, racism, discrimination, loss of opportunities, exclusion, all sorts of those things are very much alive and present today. Imposter syndrome is something internal to you. It is something that you generate within yourself. The sanity thief could be external to you, could be internal, but could also be external to you. So the question then becomes, is the call coming from in the house? Is the way I'm feeling me, or is it you? Or you? Or the institution at large? Like healthcare, education, right? Marginalized. So how do we get rid of the thief? First thing we need to do is we stop going through life on autopilot. Because we need to interrupt those thought patterns. Every time you hear that little voice running you down saying, you're not good enough, you're not going to do this, you need to stop yourself and go, zip. I have had enough of your garbage. You will stop. And the way we do this is becoming very mindful and making sure that we are present all the time. Because if we go on autopilot, we wake up 6 months ago or 6 months from now, which leads us to the next thing we need to do. We need to position ourselves and recognize where we're at. How many people commute to go to work? Show of hands. Any commuters? Do you remember your commute every day? Do you get on a bus and just sit there and go, oh, I'm at the office, and this time has passed? Or if anybody takes a GO train, any Ontario people, you hear it all the time. You get on the same car, you sit in the same place, you talk to the same people. Your life never changes, but it's changing all the time, but you don't recognize it because we sit in this place of comfort. Who knows that feeling? Who's woken up and went, oh, it's winter. What happened to fall? I think a lot of us did that this year. And that is a product of our busy lives. We've heard from a lot of the speakers today that people aren't okay. We've heard stories of imaginable heartbreak. We hear of people's struggles like addiction. I also work with a lot of people in recovery. It's kind of my jam as a psychotherapist. People aren't okay because they don't know where they're at. Because we're also getting a ton of different narratives from people. Women, Annie thought she was a good wife. She held down the job, she had the kid, she was cooking, cleaning, which is great. But she had totally ignored her whole part of life. Right? We talk about addicts. They're very lonely. They're very isolated, and they really don't have concept of time, place, and structure often because they don't have this. But then the polar opposite is we overstructure ourselves. Think about our children. How many people have kids here that are in after-school programs and you schedule them to the nth degree? On one hand, that is a product of our environment, but on the other hand, it's robbing us of our agency and autonomy. A lot of different things are going on here. So when I say where you at, that's not only physically, but emotionally a place. Because you could be living in a tent. You could be living in Rosedale. Or like a lot of Canadians, living in your car. But it's not until we take stock and go, holy God, how did I get here? And where is here anyways? And if it's not here I want to be, where do I want to be? So this whole second step is really important. And the second step also helps ground you in the first step of stopping your life, stop going through your life on autopilot. Because it's very dangerous. And you miss all the good stuff in life. Okay. The next question we have to ask is, am I feeling this way because of me or because of you? If you think it's internal and you want to know, ask yourself, am I doing something new? Am I hanging out with new people or in new places and spaces? What changes have I encountered that may have prompted this feeling? Simple questions. And if you're getting fat nothings and nothing's happening here, now we need to look to the you, to the external. So who's making you feel like this? Or who's the person that's around when you feel like this? Who is being served by the narrative that you are asked to live by or perform by? Everybody has different standards. So again, those people who put up their hands with kids, right? Do you feel pressure that your kid has to go to the right university, become a Rhodes Scholar, develop a new medical technique, marry well, have a cajillion dollars in the bank? Sound familiar? Like, because you want things for your kids. You want them to succeed. You want them to excel. But whose standard is it? I always like to say to my clients, if your kids aren't in jail, you are winning at life. If your kids aren't in jail, you are winning at life. Because your reality is not your kids' reality, which is not their reality of whoever's reality, right? What is the impact of this feeling upon you? What is this doing to your physical being? Are you tired? Are you physically sick to your stomach? Is your hair falling out or your teeth falling out? What's going on? Where's the money? Always look for the money when you're not feeling okay, because chances are somebody is trying to control that. Whether it's a client, a boss, a sibling, a spouse, whoever. Another thing, I work primarily with financial advisors, and I always tell them never, ever underestimate the power of greed. People do things all the time for money. So the other thing, and lastly, what you want to check is what values or rights of mine are being challenged. What is it that's really bothering me? And if you're finding answers in that systemic barrier piece, that's somebody else's problem. And that's not for you to accept. You leave that. So then we've established, is it me or is it them? Now, what do we do with this? Well, if it's true imposter syndrome and an internal thing, you address it as such. You know what? I get it that I'm new. I get it that this is new, but I can ask for help and move forward. It's not always going to be like this. But when we deal with systemic barriers, it's much more challenging because we're dealing with somebody else that we can't control. The only behavior we can control is our own. Thank you, Dr. Glasser. So what do you do when it's external to you that this is coming down on you? You engage in self-care. And I don't say this lightly, because you are hurt. You are literally wounded. You need to help and heal yourself. But you're also going to tell yourself that this narrative does not belong to you. This is somebody else's garbage, and you're going to park it at the door. You also then have the opportunity later to then use the mechanisms available to you: policy, procedure, legislation. But the big thing here is with the systemic barriers is you don't accept it. So we create a new narrative. What's mine? I am more than qualified to be standing up here having this conversation with you all. I don't doubt that anymore. What's yours? And we're going to say them in a second. So think about it while you're pretending to listen to the next 2 slides. The other piece with the sanity thief is we have safety in numbers, right? We name it to tame it. If somebody is acting out or having bad behavior, name it. And there's ways that you can do it that are safe. We also have to be better at community and connection. We see this in addiction. We see this in the isolation because everybody's alone. But we see this today. In Canada, we have costs us $1 billion, $2 billion every year in mental health costs because people are isolated. So we need community and connection. And the way that we do that is by helping ourselves. Supporting ourselves supports others, because when we heal, become healthy, become competent and comfortable in our emotional regulation, that helps everyone else. So we have gone over time, but that's okay. I want everybody to say out loud, all at once, what your new narrative is. Remember, mine is, I am amply and qualified to be standing up here and having this discussion with you all today. So everybody, 1, 2, 3, I am. Yes. My name is Lauren Jeffery, and it has been a privilege and a pleasure talking with you today. Thank you very much.